few things and then talk about why I'm running, but I want to talk about one thing that really stresses libertarian philosophy. The libertarian philosophy is a philosophy that private enterprise does it better. And so I'd like to talk to you about something. Right by my house is Fair Park, and in Fair Park you're going to find the Dallas Aquarium. That's the publicly owned Dallas Aquarium. And if you walk into the Dallas Aquarium, you're going to be like this. This is a fish. It is in a box. Please proceed to the next fish. It is in a box. There is the next fish in a box. It's like communist Russia for fish. Okay? And that's really what it is. And it's so horrifying. I used to go there because I really didn't have a lot of money. My friend would let me in for free. This is how bad my life was. And my friend would let me in for free. And they still charge you, even though it's public, they still charge you to get in. But in contrast, you can go down to the West End in Dallas, and you can go to the Dallas World Aquarium, which is the most amazing thing you've ever been into. You walk in and there's this circle, this just giant tree growing up, and there's birds flying, and there's a mongoose or something. I don't know what, it's tree sloth, something that's climbing in the tree next to you without a cage. And you look down and you can see a shark and an alligator, and you can't figure out how they're separated. You wish maybe they weren't separated, because it'd be really cool to see a shark and an alligator fight and find out who wins. You know, but no, it's that cool. You don't even know what you're looking at. But the thing is, that beauty, that awesomeness, that is capitalism. That is free enterprise. That's what makes things happen. Whenever you put government in charge of something, whenever you give the government that much more power, they just don't do it right, because they have no incentive. Government has no incentive to do things right. Government has no incentive to get things right. Now, I'll tell you a little story that I tell, and I'll tell it again, because these guys have a drinking game for whenever I do certain stories that I tell. So I don't want them to dry out. So a little story I tell, and it's about how I feel about government right now. And it's called Stop Stealing My Stuff. And it goes basically like this. You wake up in the middle of the night to this crashing sound in your living room. So you get up and you go downstairs, and when you get downstairs, you see this guy standing in your living room holding your TV. So the first thing that you say to the guy is, "What's your stance on gay marriage?" No, the first thing you say to the guy is, that's not what you say to the guy. You say, "Stop stealing my stuff." You know, because that's what's going on in America today. They have divided everybody up into these things, conservative or liberal. Well, I'm not really conservative. Pick a side. You know, you have to be one of these things, and you have to be all of it. Completely. And if you start to go one way, they'll put you into that box. But I don't want to be put in a box. I don't care what people do with their lives. I don't care about these little nitpicking things, when I know for a fact that the military-industrial complex, the oil industries, the banks, the Republicans and the Democrats are taking us all to the cleaners. They're robbing us blind as we sit there and fight about little bitty things. And so it brings me into just a quick note on Ted Cruz, who I'm running against. Ted Cruz and David Dewhurst, they ran against each other. David Dewhurst is the ex-CIA agent who owns an oil and gas company. Ted Cruz, on the other hand, is the guy whose wife works at Goldman Sachs, who helped Bush with his domestic policy, which benefited mostly Goldman Sachs during the bailouts. So you got Ted Cruz over here and this guy, and it was a battle. The Republicans had a battle royale to see who could win, the banks or the oil companies. And the banks won. And you got Ted Cruz. And no Tea Party people know this. They don't understand it because they were sold a bill of goods. And so now I'd like to tell you about my three things, the three reasons that I'm running and why I feel like they're different. One of the reasons that I run on these topics is because neither Ted Cruz or Paul Sadler, the Democrat, will say anything about these topics. And these are the things that really lit my fire to even do this in the first place. And the first thing is our foreign policy. Our foreign policy is a disaster. If a politician gets up on a stage and says, "I believe that terrorists hate us because of our freedom," that politician should never be allowed to run for office or never be allowed on a stage again. Terrorists do not hate us for our freedom. Actually, they should put the guy in a room and put him, put a little helmet on him so he's not a danger to himself or others. Terrorists do not hate us for our freedom. If they hated us for our freedom, think about Amsterdam. Amsterdam is the freest country in the world. You can smoke pot. If you go down the street, there's hookers on the streets, there's whatever. They're as free as a society could possibly be.
Politically correct is a red light district.
And so, I'm not very politically correct, but you got it. So anyway, the point being is, they're about as free as they can possibly be. But are they up there? Are they up there bombing Amsterdam? Are they up there attacking Amsterdam? They hate them for their freedoms. It's only us. And the reason is because Amsterdam is not in their country, taking their resources, putting in puppet dictators, and trying to spread democracy through the barrel of a gun. And that's what we do all around the world. The second thing that I'm running on is basically corporate welfare. Because we see the bailouts and TARP and everything else, Solyndra, everything that these guys have going on, and that is all just a fraud. That is all just them taking your money from you. How can they get, they'll tell you that they're going to give you something, that little bit of government power that you give them allows them the power to give Solyndra money. When you think, you know, it's like John Spivey, he wants to bring back zebra-striped underwear. Okay, I tried to tell him they're not going to come back. But that's his thing. But those are not coming back. Zebra-striped underwear are not coming back no matter what you do, you can lobby whoever you want. But if there was an incentive for a politician where he could get rich and he could give Solyndra money by somehow tying that into something that applies to you, he would do it. And that's what politicians, they do. They find the little thing that you want, tell you they're going to give it to you, and then they give the big things they want to their friends because you gave them that power. You have to take that power away. And the last thing, the last reason that I'm running is basically because, as you probably guessed, I am a libertarian guy, and I don't believe it's any of my business to be involved in, you know, the left tells you that you have to be involved in marriage because we have to allow gays to marry, and the right tells you that you shouldn't be involved in marriage because you shouldn't let gays marry, and I think it's none of anybody's business. It's definitely not government's business who gets married, why they get married, or how they get married. What I try to tell people on the right is they better watch out, because the more that you want, and we just talked about this, the more that you want to be in someone's life, the more that you want to tell them how to run your life, the more power you give government to run your life. And the next thing you know, you've given them that 1 ounce of power that allows them to say, well, you know what? The federal government says gay marriage is this, and that's what it is, or marriage is this, and that's what it is. Do you really want the federal government to tell you what marriage is? No. It's not their business. That's not in the Constitution. It's the role of government. So that's, you know, but the other thing too, I like to say, on the side of civil liberties and everything else, we've had a war now, you know, when you talk to people about you know, you want to legalize marijuana, and people will say, well, marijuana makes people hungry, stupid, and lazy. You know, and it's just like, really? You think it may, okay, all right, whatever. And it's just like, it makes them hungry, stupid, lazy. Okay, so you're telling me that we have had a 40-year war against hungry, stupid, lazy people, and we can't win it. You know, and all I'm saying is this, okay, is if, you know, if I was a general and someone said to me, I tell you, and I could, you know, if you were a general, you could pick, and they said, well, who do you want to fight against? Let's see, Genghis Khan, the Russian, I will take hungry, stupid, lazy people. You know, I mean, if that was your choice, you know, that's who you choose. And, you know, obviously I don't feel that that's what marijuana does to you, but that's the way people portray it, and that's what people are so afraid of. Now, I want to say 2 more things, and I won't introduce Gary Johnson. I'll tell you why. Anyway, but 2 more things. One more thing is, people say that libertarians are extreme, and I want you to know that libertarians are not extreme. The idea of being a libertarian is not extreme. It's not extreme to think we shouldn't be around the world policing them. It's not extreme to think that our president shouldn't be able to kill us. It's not extreme to think that you shouldn't be able to keep people in indefinite detention. It's not extreme to believe that we shouldn't be giving the banks and the oil companies all these benefits. These are not extreme things. You know, it's our government that is extreme. Now, that's pretty much my speech, but lastly, I'd like to tell you why I'm not introducing Gary Johnson. It's because I always get it wrong. I'm kind of an over-exaggerator, and so he does not lay the hammer down like Thor. He has not vetoed more bills than Odin or Zeus. All right, and he did not climb Mount Everest without any legs. And because of my inability to get these things right, they are not allowing me to introduce Gary Johnson. They leave that role to John Shuey.